Hello everybody and welcome to the GMS Magazine channel. I am Paco Garcia, your host, and this is the RPG Review Room. Today I want to talk to you about Black Void. Black Void is an RPG written by Christoffer Sevaldsen and sold through Modiphius. The game is described by the book as an esoteric role-playing game. Does that live up to that though? We're gonna find out. Black Void is a pretty massive tome and over 400 pages in length. True that a few of those pages are the table of contents, the index, and the list of backers, which weren't few. Backers who, by the way, only had to pay $38 to get their hands on this book when they backed the project, which, for the kind of game they got, that's a jolly good deal. The game is a post-apocalyptic fantasy universe in which Earth was consumed during Babylonian times by a wave of black energy that pulled humans away from this Earth and left the planet behind to die. You know, apocalypse kind of thing. However, resilient as humans are, they found a way to survive and in some places to even thrive. So yay us. It does differ an awful lot, though, from traditional fantasy. So, if you are looking for elves and dwarves and the like, this is not a game that's going to deliver on that front. Don't look for it. It doesn't need to, though, because it does deliver in so many other ways. The book has a good, even though it's inconsistent, layout throughout. Some parts of the book are 2 columns and some are 3, which, although it's a bit weird, it doesn't really detract from readability. It's just a consistency issue that may irk you. The illustrations, as numerous as they are gorgeous, make an absolutely fantastic job of portraying the universe where the game takes place. The cartography of Llyhn, the large city that this book centers most of the action is lovely in its simple but actually rather detailed enough style. The book has a lot of tables scattered among its pages, and a very handy, and I would also say necessary, table index after the table of contents. Better remember that's there though, because you will be using a lot of tables very often. The rules are relatively easy to follow. The basic rule is that you roll a d12 plus your ability scores versus a difficulty level that determine the game master. Yeah, it's d12, not d20. Depending on the degree of success or failure, things will go according to plan or not. And there is more to it than that though. If you roll a 12, natural 12, or a 1, also natural 1, then something amazing or something truly bad happens. At that point, you roll again, but this time you roll your trusty or treasurer's d12 and a new friend, your d6. The results determine how good or bad things actually get. Needless to say, there are plenty of possibilities and combinations. There are detailed rules for combat, including initiative, movement, offensive and defensive actions, etc. Even though the basics are very easy to grasp, there are plenty of options and choices which makes the system both easy to get to grasp with and very easy to expand later on when you become accustomed to it. Probably the most complex process in the game is the character creation. It is long, and it takes 57 pages of the book. It is divided into several parts that explain everything in great detail, which is just as well, because it's a good number of steps, 11 to be precise. Veteran players will find this a straightforward process, though I would suggest leaving a good session 0, a good 3 hours, to generate the characters and to get used to the many choices available. Depending on the style of game that you want to play, the characters are generated allocating a number of points to their traits, their talents, background, attributes, powers, and skills. The total number of points depends on the character background level. For example, a slave starts with just 24 points, a novice with 48, and an adept with 68. As a means to highlight the inequality of the universe where this game takes place, this actually does the job quite nicely. However, there are some rules to make sure the characters are not completely out of balance. For instance, there is a limit to how many points you can allocate to a single skill and such on character creation, which is good because, adepts will know more, but, not usually more. Attributes and, agility, awareness, stamina, strength, intellect, persuasion, presence, and willpower. Those define the physical and mental markup of the character. The talents are the abilities that give an edge to the character, and each is related to a trait. Attributes and esoteric attributes are going to give the character a superhuman feel and superhuman abilities too. The esoteric attributes denote that the creature is beyond planar rich and can have daemonic traits, and they can be species within. Oh, there is sanity as well. Don't even imagine for a second that exposure to the esoteric nature of the universe doesn't take a toll on anybody's mind. Oh, no. You will suffer. And there is magic and powers too. However, these are not the usual spells. They are more rituals that you invest your resources in, and the more you invest, the more you get back. Of course, the more powerful the ritual, the more dangerous, and thus the more you have to pay, and the longer they take to prepare and perform. Yep. That's how it works, and I do like it. One interesting thing about this game is the advancement section. It is divided in 3 parts: experience points, enlightenment, and wasta. I don't know if that's the pronunciation. Experience points are pretty standard. That's all they do. Enlightenment, though, offers something else. It signifies how close to the new universe and the esoteric nature of the void characters get. And wasta is probably my favorite means of advancement, though. It is a reflection of the connections and the general reputation that you earn as you adventure. What I like about this is that it is completely class independent. A slave can have more wasta than a rich merchant or a politician. As a tool to reflect what happens when one interacts with the world and the NPCs, I did find that to be very, very cool tool. It feels excellent. The chapter on equipment also comes with a ton of information at 39 pages, and it gives you as many choices as character creation. Diversity and choice is certainly a theme of this game, I have to say. There is an arbiter, GM, section 2 that does a fairly good job of providing advice for the arbiter on how the void works, how the power works, and the general background of the game. Overall, it's actually very well observed. I did enjoy it. Llyhn and the universe, Llyhn is the city where most of this game is based. I have to say, it has a very planescape feel to it. It is super rich and varied, it's large, and everything is going on around it. The cartography around it is very simple, but it is very effective, and the division of each district is large enough to give you a description of both the place itself and the major players that operate them. The rest of the universe is reduced, and I say reduced very much in brackets, to describing a few worlds here and there with varying degrees of success. Even though they are all very useful and usable, I'm not particularly keen on worlds that start by describing how barren and harsh and inhospitable to live they are, followed by how some races and species have thrived in it. It makes little sense to me, especially in an universe where you can leave a planet if things get too hard. Why would you even want to stay there? Just go. The bestiary is one of the super exciting parts of the game. It has 76 pages full of all sorts of beasts and species, from minor animals that could even be pets to esoteric creatures that could spark a full campaign of their, completely unknowable ways. Their glorious illustrations really give great way to immerse yourself in the fauna of Black Void. They're just fantastic. Black Void is one of those games that are very well worth having. The book is gorgeous, with a few niggles here and there, but an absolutely fantastic effort from the author. The planescape feel to it is super appealing, and the world is rich, is very original, and takes fantasy differently than most other settings. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm completely sold. However, it doesn't come without its issues that must be taken into account. Okay? One of the game's strongest points is originality, which is also one of its weaknesses. It makes it hard to wrap one's head around it without a fair amount of guidance. A guidance that, although the book offers examples of play and how to use the rules and a few snippets of fiction here and there, I don't feel it is enough for novice players. A short adventure would have gone a long way to get that much needed guidance. Is this game worth it? Hell yes, absolutely yes, hands down. And if you're looking for a fantasy game that steps away from, the kind of European medieval fantasy look and feel, this is very much for you. Luckily, the author is releasing adventures, and if this game is supported with more content and maybe some game streamings, some online to get an idea of how it plays, it could easily become one of your favorite games out there. I really recommend this very highly. Thank you very much indeed for watching. It is truly appreciated. Do let me know, please, your comments if you have already played this game, read it or not, and if you have any questions, because I would love to answer them. Remember to subscribe if you possibly can. Why couldn't you? And until the next time, I will talk to you very soon indeed. Take care.